Hi, I'm Mandy, 32 years old, and fresh out of law school. I've been hustling at a small firm and recently moved into this cute little house with a gorgeous garden. It's nothing grand, but it's mine and I love it. Then I met John, tall, handsome, and well, rich. His family had more money than I'd ever seen. We fell for each other fast, and before I knew it, we were saying our vows. At first, it felt like a fairy tale. John was sweet, supportive, and surprisingly, he loved my garden almost as much as I did. And then I met his mother, Emily. Emily was a force. The first time she visited our home, she glanced around like she'd walked into something unpleasant. "Oh, darling," she said, her voice laced with false sweetness. "How quaint. I suppose this is charming for someone of your background." I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. John squeezed my hand and whispered, ignoring her, "Babe, she's just being mom." But it didn't stop there. At every family dinner and holiday, Emily found a way to remind me I didn't belong in her world. "Quaint, dear. Did you try the foie gras?" "Oh, wait, you probably don't know what that is." John would always jump to my defense. "Mom, knock it off. Mandy's a lawyer, not an idiot." I appreciated his support, but a part of me wished he'd just tell her to back off entirely. Things hit a breaking point at the annual family barbecue. I had spent weeks perfecting my garden, planting colorful flowers, and setting up a little vegetable patch. When Emily arrived, she wrinkled her nose in disgust. "Oh, Mandy, you didn't actually spend money on this, did you? It looks so cheap." "John, darling, you really should hire a proper landscaper. This looks like something from a trailer park." The silence that followed was suffocating. My face burned with embarrassment, and tears stung at the corners of my eyes. Before I could respond, John finally stepped in. "That's enough, Mom." But after the barbecue, the tension only grew. Emily seemed to be around constantly, her presence like a dark cloud over our home. She dropped by unannounced, offering unsolicited advice on everything: our decor, our meals. "Darlings," she'd say to John, "you simply must replace these interesting curtains Mandy chose. They're not exactly fitting for someone of your status." At first, John brushed her off, but gradually I noticed a shift. He'd start eyeing our furniture with a critical gaze or make comments about my outfits. One evening, as I was getting ready for a work dinner, John frowned. "Don't you have something a little more sophisticated?" I felt like I'd been slapped. "What's wrong with this? I thought you liked this dress." He shrugged. "It's fine, I guess. Mom just mentioned it might not be appropriate for certain events." I bit my tongue, trying to avoid a fight, but the whole exchange left me rattled. Things finally came to a head when I was leaving for a week-long conference. As I packed, Emily swooped in with all her faux concern. "Oh, Mandy, leaving John all alone? I do hope he'll manage without you." Forcing a smile, I replied, "I'm sure he'll survive, Emily. It's just a week." But as I boarded my flight, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Throughout the conference, my thoughts kept drifting back home. John's phone calls became shorter, his tone more distant. By the time I was heading back, I was a bundle of nerves. Nothing could have prepared me for what I saw when I pulled into the driveway. Where my beautiful garden once stood, there was now a garish pool, complete with fake rock formations and a tacky tiki bar. My heart dropped. I stumbled out of the car. "John, what have you done to my garden?" He stepped out, looking sheepish. "Surprise, surprise. What have you done?" Before he could answer, Emily appeared, smug as ever. "Oh, Mandy, don't be so dramatic. We've improved your little patch. Now you have a proper entertaining space." I looked to John, desperate for support, but he wouldn't even meet my eyes. "Babe, Mom thought it would be a nice surprise. You've always said you wished we could entertain more." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They destroyed something I loved, something I'd nurtured for years. Emily scared. "Really, Mandy? You should be grateful. That pool costs more than your entire house." "Grateful?" I snapped. "Grateful for what? For you coming into my home and destroying something I cared about? For undermining me at every turn? For turning my own husband against me? John finally looked at me, his face hardening. That's enough, Mandy. You're being hysterical. Mom was just trying to do something nice for us. You should be grateful. In that moment, I saw just how far gone John was, how completely Emily had sunk her claws into him. It felt like I was drowning, standing there in front of that monstrosity of a pool. Grateful? I whispered.
Right.
Well, here's what I'm grateful for, John. I'm grateful that I now know exactly where I stand in this marriage, and it's clear. Not by your side. I turned and walked back to my car, ignoring John's frantic calls. As I drove away, I caught a glimpse of Emily in my rearview mirror. She was smiling, triumphant. But this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Emily might think she won, but she had no idea who she was messing with. It was time to show her and John exactly what this cheap girl from the wrong side of the tracks was capable of. That night, I ended up at Zoe's place, spilling my guts over a bottle of wine. Girl, that woman is straight up crazy, Zoe said, shaking her head. And John, he needs to grow a spine. I sighed.
Tell me about it.
I just don't know what to do. Any more you focus on you. So, said her voice firm. Show them what you're made of. And that's exactly what I did. I threw myself into work, taking on extra cases and staying late at the office. Before long, I was making waves at the firm. One night, I overheard John on the phone with his dad. I don't know, Dad. Mom's been acting weird lately. She bought a yacht last week. A yacht. We don't even live near water. My lawyer senses tingled. Something wasn't adding up. At the next family dinner, I casually brought up investments with John's dad. Oh, Emily handles all that, he said, waving his hand dismissively. She's got quite the knack for it. But his eyes told a different story. That's when I started digging. Using every skill I had, I worked on white-collar crime cases before, but what I found made my jaw drop. Emily wasn't just spending recklessly, she was bleeding the family dry. Risky investments, secret accounts, even what looked like embezzlement from John's trust fund. I tried to talk to John about it, but he shut me down hard. Don't be ridiculous, Mandy, he snapped. Mom knows what she's doing. Just because you grew up poor doesn't mean you understand how real money works. His words stung, but they also lit a fire inside me. I might not have grown up with real money, but I knew the law, and what Emily was doing wasn't just unethical, it was illegal. I started gathering evidence, meticulously documenting every transaction and shady deal. If John wouldn't listen, I would make sure someone did. One night, Zoe caught me burning the midnight oil at the office. Spill it, she demanded. What's got you looking like you haven't slept in a week? I hesitated, then laid it all out. Zoe's eyes widened with every word. Holy crap, Mandy, this is big. What are you going to do? I took a deep breath. I'm going to take her down, Zoe. Not just for me, but for John and his entire family. They might not appreciate me now, but I'll be damned if I let Emily ruin them. Zoe nodded, a slow smile spreading across her face. Count me in. That woman doesn't know who she's messing with. As we started planning, I felt a surge of determination. Emily thought she'd won when she destroyed my garden, but she had only planted the seeds of her own downfall. The next few weeks were a blur of late nights and secret meetings. I called in favors, dug deeper into Emily's past, and built an airtight case. Meanwhile, John was falling deeper under his mother's spell, criticizing everything I did, from my clothes to my cooking. But I barely noticed. I was too focused on the endgame. One night, as I was reviewing some documents, I stumbled upon something that made my blood run cold. Emily wasn't just mismanaging the family's money, she was secretly funneling it into offshore accounts. This was the smoking gun I needed. I leaned back in my chair, my mind racing. With this evidence, I could bring Emily down for good. But it also meant exposing John's family to public scrutiny and potential financial ruin.
For a moment, I hesitated.
Despite everything, a part of me still cared about John. Did I really want to do this to him? Then I remembered the garden, the constant put-downs, and the way he chose Vivian over me again and again. My resolve hardened. This wasn't just about revenge.
It was about justice.
If John couldn't see that, well, that was on him. I picked up my phone and dialed Zoe's number.
It's time, I said.
When she answered, I said, "We're taking Emily down." Taking a deep breath, I laid out the files on the dining room table. "John, we need to talk." He sighed. "What now, Mandy? Another issue with Mom?" "Just look," I said, pushing the documents toward him. At first, he was dismissive, but as he read through the evidence, his face went pale. This can't be right." "It is," I said firmly. "Your mother has been embezzling from your family for years." John shook his head, unable to process it. "We need to talk to Dad." The family meeting was a disaster. Emily screeched and denied everything, but the evidence was irrefutable. Her erratic behavior only confirmed my concerns about her mental state. "You ungrateful little gold digger," she screamed at me. "After everything I've done for this family." That's when John finally snapped out of his fog. "Enough, Mom. Look at yourself." Months passed. Emily went into treatment and the family began to heal. As for me, I was thriving. I had started my own law firm, specializing in financial fraud cases. The irony wasn't lost on me. With my success came the ability to buy my dream home. The first thing I did? Plant a garden. But not just any garden. This one was spectacular, filled with rare flowers and winding paths. It was everything I had ever wanted and more. I smiled, feeling a sense of pride I had never experienced before. This was all mine. I had built this from the ground up. I had faced down classism, toxic relationships, and come out on top. I thought about John and Emily, about all the times they had made me feel small. But now, sitting in my own piece of paradise, I felt nothing but gratitude. They had tried to break me, but instead, they had made me stronger. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over my flowers, I smiled. This garden, this home, this life, it was all mine, and I had earned every single bit of it. This was my happily ever after on my own terms, and it was more perfect than I could have ever imagined. And that's the end of Mandy's journey. Now, here's a question for you. Was Mandy right to expose Emily's financial misdeeds, even though it could potentially harm John's family? Or should she have found another way to address the situation? This isn't just about right and wrong. It's about the gray areas we navigate in toxic relationships. Where do we draw the line between loyalty and self-preservation? Drop your thoughts in the comments.